Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Hansen.
And I'm Sadie Witkowski.
And you're listening to Carry the Two, a podcast from the Institute for Mathematical and Statistical Innovation, aka IMSI.
This is the podcast where Sam and I talk about the real-world applications of mathematical and statistical research.
Welcome back, Sadie. Ready for another episode? What are you cheering about?
I put down $100 bet that you were going to say welcome back at 3-1 odds. You just won me $300.
Just a second. You found a bookie that was willing to do a prop bet on how I begin an episode?
You don't know about Podbook?
Nope. And in fact, I will hear nothing more about it.
Me and my $300 are fine with that. Though I do have one question. What is a prop bet?
Wait, Sadie, you managed to place a prop bet, and yet you don't know what one is?
Well, I just thought I was placing a bet. I mean, what makes it a prop bet?
So props, or proposition bets, to give them their full legal name, are bets on one-off occurrences during an event or a game instead of on the outcome. For example, some of the prop bets that were on offer for the recent Super Bowl had to do with the length of the national anthem, which player would score first, which song Bad Bunny would play first, and the one Our Guide to the World of Gambling and Mathematics, Assistant Vice President at SUNY Erie, mathematician and author of the book, The Mathematics of Gambling and Games, An Introduction to Mathematics, David Taylor, spoke to me about.
What color Gatorade will there be?
Or how the commentators greet each other.
Exactly.
I mean, sure. These are things that happen, so I guess you can bet on them. But sportsbooks really like being able to put reasonable odds on their bets so they can cover the payouts. How can they do that with these prop bets?
But in terms of, what the casinos are offering for their payouts, some of these are based in the sort of old school horse racing method of, if somebody is betting a lot on a particular color, then you probably want to make that harder for somebody to win so that less people bet on it and pick the other colors. So that's a balancing act of, you can change those odds in real time so that I'm paying $16 on it to win $10 and you're paying $22 on the same bets because you did it later and blue seems to be a popular color.
Oh, and by making the next people who place the bet wager even more to win the same amount, the sports books and casinos then incentivize more people to pick green because it offers a better payout.
And then if green starts to have too many bets that they're worried about paying out if it is the Gatorade color, they would do the same thing with red and so on.
So I think I get the sports book side, but what about the gamblers? With the games, I get how they could build up information sources that can help them win. But these prop bets seem less skill and more chance.
I don't disagree. And I'm thinking David wouldn't either, given what he said about the Gatorade prop bet.
The only advantage you might have there is knowledge about what colors are possible.
And he definitely does not see props as a way to make money.
The rise of these it's easy in a lot of these sports apps where you can place a $1 wager or a $5 wager to say, if it's worth $5 for the excitement of watching the game and anticipating what color is that Gatorade going to be? Is it going to be neon yellow? Is it going to be blue? Is it going to be clear or white? They're there for fun.
This isn't to say that people may never have an informational advantage.
Really? In what way?
Well, at least in the case of the specific prop bet David talked about with me, we're talking, potential insider knowledge.
There was a wager on who would perform at the halftime for Super Bowl in February. And I don't think, I can't remember off the top of my head who got selected.
Bad Bunny, bye bye.
I know, and I have no doubt that he is well aware now and probably bopping along to Nueva Yol like the rest of us. But remember, we recorded this weeks before the Super Bowl was played. Thankfully, I did remember and was able to let him know while we were chatting.
So I don't think they were in the top 5 in terms of here are the predictions. I think, Taylor Swift was up there. Other people were up there. That's where you get into probably concerns of people who have inside knowledge betting and why there are a lot of disclaimers about some of these things too.
Yes, always good to remind people that not only is betting on things with insider knowledge unethical, it is also potentially illegal, depending on how the knowledge was obtained and the laws of jurisdiction that you were in.
Exactly. So no matter how tempting it may be if you are friends with a big-time event producer and they let slip who the next halftime performer is going to be, you probably shouldn't place any wagers. And you definitely shouldn't, say, throw specific pitches, even when it doesn't impact the game, like a couple of major league pitchers have been charged with doing.
Yeah, definitely not. Though I do think it's probably okay to let slip to your event producer friend that you know a great math and stats podcast that would love to open for Radiolab on their next tour.
Yes, yeah, definitely do that. Though I'm betting the odds of that happening are even lower than those offered by the final type of sports betting I want to tell you more about.
Go on.
But first, as I am sure everyone would bet I'm about to say, let's hear about another great podcast from the University of Chicago Podcast Network. Have you ever wondered who you are but didn't know how to ask? Well, then join Professor Eric Oliver as he poses the 9 most essential questions for knowing yourself to some of humanity's wisest and most interesting people. 9 Questions with Eric Oliver, part of the University of Chicago Podcast Network.
Only one last type of sports betting to share?
I know, but it's a big one.
Ooh, bigger than spreads and money lines?
Yes, though not in the sense that they're more important than those types of betting. Instead, they are literally bigger bets.
Gotcha. So like big money bets.
Not quite. More like voluminous.
Okay, enough with the riddles. How about you just tell me what this betting style is?
Spoil sport, but fine. I'm talking about parlays.
That's definitely a word I've heard before on some of the gambling ads, but I honestly think of Pirates of the Caribbean and have no idea what they are.
Well, sadly, Captain Jack isn't involved, but I guarantee that you have heard of them on those ads because sportsbooks love when people bet parlays.
Why is that?
Well, parlays are effectively a way to combine a bunch of bets all together into one single bet, which pays off only when you get all of those bets correct. David used a racetrack example when he was explaining them to me.
You can bet on a horse to win. You could bet on a single horse to win, place, or show and all these things, but the horse tracks, the equivalent of a parlay is the trifecta or the exacta, where you're trying to say, I'm not only going to tell you which horses are going to win, I'm going to tell you the top 3 horses and pick the correct order.
That sounds super hard to do.
It is. And so is winning parlays.
The mathematician looking at this is saying, I can feel confident that if I do 3 baseball wagers that, 2 of them might pay off and I'll be fine. But I don't feel confident enough to say that I'm going to pick these 3 and all 3 are going to win. They pay off much better. But also you're much higher risk at, losing them.
What does he mean that they pay off much better?
Well, let's use the simple game of flipping a coin.
Okay, so the odds for choosing right are 50-50.
Which, if we were going to talk about 1/2 probability in money line terms, would be -100. So if you were to wager $100, you would win $100 for a total payout of $200, not counting whatever the sportsbook fees are. Then for a parlay, you would be betting on picking the right outcome 3 times in a row.
And I know the probability of that would be 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2, or 1/8, or 12.5%.
Which translates to plus 700 in moneyline terms, which means a $100 bet would get you a $700 return and an $800 total payout. So like the bet on the 1/2 chance leads to a 2 times $100 or $200 payout, the bet on a 1/8 chance leads to an 8 times $100 or $800 payout.
Oh, so you essentially multiply the probability of getting each throw right together.
Precisely. And for sports betting parlays, you do the same thing.
So pick your 3 favorite weekend Sunday NFL games, parlay them together, and you have a roughly 1 in 8 chance of calling all 3 of them correctly, assuming that your information is not much better than what you did when you placed the wager. It's exciting when it pays off. It pays off roughly 8 times what you would have won.
But with the assumption of a coin flip probability of choosing the winner correctly, that also means that 7 out of 8 times you lose the bet, which would not have been true if the bettor had wagered on each game individually.
Ding, ding, ding. So let's look at all 8 possibilities that a gambler who had $300 to bet on 3 plus 100 games would be if they bet on them individually or spent $300 on a 3-game parlay instead.
Well, the parlay is easy. The gambler would walk away with nothing 7 times for every time that they walked away with $2,100 in winnings or $2,400 total.
The individual bets are a bit harder to calculate. There's one case where the gambler walks away with nothing, where all 3 bets were wrong. 3 cases where only 1 bet is right and they walk away with $200. Another 3 where 2 bets are right and they leave with $400. And if all 3 bets are right, they walk out with $600.
I mean, I get why people would be tempted on the parlay. $2,400 is a lot more than $600 if all 3 bets are correct. But nothing at all is also less than $200.
Or $400 or $600. One of which would occur 7 out of 8 times the gambler played at 50-50 odds.
So just like props, do it for fun only?
That seems like a good idea. Oh, and of course, never bet that which you can't afford to lose.
Oh, of course. Always good advice.
Though you mentioning prop bets again reminds me of something else David told me about.
What modern sports betting has done with websites has really made it easy to make a parlay out of anything. Traditional parlay would have been pick your games, cover the spread. You got 3 of them, and that's pretty simple. But now you can go anywhere. You can parlay, who's going to get the next touchdown in this game, what's going to happen with the first pitch in the baseball game in the next hour, and who's going to win the presidency in 2028.
Oof. Prop bet parlays?
Yeah, and that silliness is just one of the methods that the online betting and casino apps have used to get people playing. In the next and final episode of this season, we're going to dig into the economics behind a more subtle and deceptive method, as well as discuss the mathematics behind why one of the more well-known gambling systems may work on paper, but not in the real world.
I can't wait.
If you or someone you know is struggling with a gambling problem, help is available. The National Council on Problem Gambling provides a range of resources, including the National Problem Gambling Helpline, which is at 1-800-MY-RESET, and helps connect you with local resources. Don't forget to check out our show notes in the podcast description for more about David's work and a link to his book.
And if you like the show, give us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen. By rating and reviewing the show, you really help us spread the word about Carry the Two so that other listeners can discover us.
And for more on the research being shared at IMSI, be sure to check us out online at our homepage, imsi.institute. We're also on Blue Sky and on Instagram, both at imsi.institute. That's IMSI spelled IMSI.
And do you have a burning math question? Maybe you have an idea for a story about how mathematics and statistics connect with the world around us. Send us an email with your idea.
You can send your feedback, ideas, and more to sam@imsi.institute. That's sam@imsi.institute.
We'd also like to thank Blue Dot Sessions for the music we use in Carry the Two.
Lastly, Carry the Two is made possible by the Institute for Mathematical and Statistical Innovation, located on the gorgeous campus of the University of Chicago. We are supported by the U.S. National Science Foundation and the University of Chicago.
My friend calls him, she's like, my big son, Shohei Ohtani. And I'm like, he does give big boy energy.
Yep. Yeah, he really does. Don't bet on Podbook. Stupid Podbook.
Don't bet on Podbook.
Have you ever wondered who you... What? T in money line. Money lime. Money lime. Money lime.
Money lemon, money lime.
Do 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 do.